maybe some hot garbage too.
Right, right. I
But
miss.
you can't have a dumpster fire without hot garbage. I
I
feel like
will.
that's a bumper sticker. I think I just came up with some bumper sticker stuff
I
right
think
there.
you did.
Yeah.
I will forever miss the simplicity of StreamYard and the intro, the little intro video. We're streaming live on YouTube now, by the way.
All right.
Let
Hey,
me
imagine
let.
there's some sweet saxophone music hitting your ears.
Neon
Yeah.
light.
Neon light. That's the sound it makes.
Pardon my typing. I'm gonna.
Let people know that we're on the YouTube.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I need to do that. Click there,
Oh man,
and
I just
then
ruined some printer paper. Cool. Nothing cooler than showing up on a live stream and people watch me spinning my chair from left to right. Squeaky chair, squeaky chair.
yeah, mine's real bad too. I need to WD-40 it again. That only lasts so long, it seems.
So when people chat, do we see it in this program, this thing, or you see it?
I'll see it. It's pulled into OBS. Otherwise, no, I don't think it'll pull into Video Ninja here. It'd be cool if there'd be a way to do that.
Toggle the chat, but that's just a chat for us, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, I think that's probably just interesting. Yeah, I think that's probably just us. Toggle the chat. Let's try it. What a fascinating. Hey, by the way, if you're watching, hi. Let's see.
Welcome to our show where we try to convince you not to use StreamYard. And we're here to troubleshoot and play test anything but.
Anything else.
That's right. That's right. That's our new show.
That's pretty much.
Welcome to the Spikecast.
That's the internet now. That's how I handle everything. Something irks me on some type of moral level or financial.
And now I'm on Blue Sky.
And now I'm on Blue Sky.
I won't use Messenger anymore.
Yeah, right. Avoiding Facebook at all costs. Honestly, it wasn't hard for me to avoid Instagram. Like, I just never used it that much.
Oh yeah. I'm not going to claim there was some kind of pain point on some of these, but like the hardest one to kick was absolutely Messenger, and it was absolutely the number one I needed to kick because as far as like mining your data and just giving it to people, that's probably the worst app to have on your phone.
Threads. I bounce over there a little bit still just to check it out, see what's going on, because Blue Sky is still a little slow for me. It's not quite up to you know, I don't know how many people I'm following on Threads, but I'm following less people there. So
I think it's just like people aren't as like, yeah, all the cool people from Twitter are there, but they're just not as active as they were because I think they just got out of the habit of using Twitter, and so like, there's people there, but the people who are probably super active are the same ones that I kind of muted on Twitter.
Right.
And then the ones that I was interested in, they're still maintaining a lot of their other social channels too, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I mean, I'm no saint in this regard. I still check in on Facebook because Facebook has an enormous platform, and there's just certain things that Facebook's really good for, like probably the one thing it's best for, and I haven't seen this anywhere else, is like if I want to know about local events, Facebook's it. Like there's really, I suppose Instagram is okay, but like there isn't like a specifically curated event thing on Instagram. I don't think it's not like the way it is on Facebook. So a lot of things, like one of the things we can talk about is I went to a zine fair, and I wouldn't even know this zine fair existed if it wasn't for Facebook.
Right. Well, let's go ahead and say Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Jesse. I almost said Melanie because I'm used to hearing
Her,
Melanie right after
she
her.
does go next, doesn't she?
Yeah,
No,
yeah. This is-
yeah, no Melanie tonight. Just the boys. Just what everybody wanted. It's just the middle-aged white man. Yeah,
That's
what's
right.
up?
You needed more white mansplaining in your life.
I'm here to tell you
Well,
about my opinions.
I'm practically alabaster. I'm so white.
uh, the internet, you know, even Blue Sky, like it's better than Facebook or Threads in terms of like avoiding events, but like right now
Yeah.
you can't get away from it anywhere.
Oh
Even
no.
Facebook, even though I am purely in my echo chamber in Facebook, like, and I know
Sure.
it's intended that way. I unfollowed everybody that would annoy me
It
even
took
the
you
slightest.
decades to get there. You
Right.
finally have gotten rid of all the cockroaches in your house.
And you know what? Even the echo chamber is just constant irritation and annoyance now. Like,
Oh yeah, because now you gotta deal with the purity tests of the left, and you're just like, oh no,
right.
you're wrong too. Stop it.
And I
They put a trail of breadcrumbs and you just ate them all up, didn't you? Didn't you?
and
You're just outraged now.
some of the messaging is important. It's important to be aware of what's going on, but like, how do you do it all the time? How do you got to turn it off? Like, I just turn it off. uh,
Oh yeah, I mean that's the thing about the internet and the news cycle and all of that. It's unsustainable. When we were
yeah,
kids, there was the newspaper. Like the newspaper was a chief way that people would get their news. So what? Once a day, maybe in the morning, if you had it delivered to your house. Otherwise, you picked it up at the gas station whenever you got out of the house. And then you had news, maybe a morning news show, maybe a noon news show. And this is if you're watching all the news shows. The 6 o'clock is the real news show, and then the 9 o'clock or the 9 or the 10 o'clock news for like maybe the darker stuff or for the people who got home late.
right. And I totally like. I don't remember where it was I seen this, but kind of a breakdown of like when it came to news communication. And not to say fewer news sources is necessarily better. That just means it's fewer that need to be compromised if they really wanted to spread propaganda. But the 24-hour news cycle, the 24-hour news networks, cable networks, is really when the degradation started. And that makes a lot of sense to me. And then it's just amplified online now.
Well, now it's incestuous,
Yeah.
like talk about Sean Hannity, or even when Tucker Carlson was on Fox News, they would make their own news because they would say a thing on their show, and even though it's not news, that's the opinion part, then the news side of things would report that they said a thing. So they would echo
Yeah.
chamber their own opinion stuff then as news, because now it's relevant and now we can report it because one of our people said it.
Right. And then the other side picks it up, and then they're talking about it, and everybody's talking about it. And it's like that wasn't news. That's some a-hole's opinion that somehow became a talking point that's mirrored across all the stations, all the outlets, and all your coworkers. Like, it's so annoying.
And then Twitter became news in the same way that was news.
And now we're talking about it.
And now we're talking, and it's the snake eating a mole, eating another snake, eating like, I don't know what else, like a titmouse.
If only we could go back to the days of zines getting spread around.
I do love me a good zine.
Do you now?
I do love a good zine. Speaking of Facebook, I mean zines, I mean both. I mean reporting about the things that we talked about a thing and now we're going to report about it.
It's so funny because zines are like, like underground publications, kind of like, but now you're talking about like you discover zines, local zines through Facebook.
I know, right? I know. Yeah.
That's the
And
world, though. Like, you know.
there's a weird, like there's also a weird, like the new zines are kind of weird comparatively, because in the past, I don't know that anybody was really signing their name to it, kind of thing. Is pretty anonymous, and a lot of these are anonymous, but not all of them, you know. And I don't know. So I went to a zine fair that because I found an event for it, and it was like alternative publishing of Omaha or something. And I think that the library is involved in it in some ways, and then this art collective slash gallery is involved in it some ways. And so I go to this thing, and it's kind of cool and retro and weird, and I'm used to going to these kinds of shows anyway. So it's a bunch of tables, and it's like a vendor room basically, but it's all zines. And zines are, so they run the gamut of so many things.
Yeah.
That's the first thing, it's like you go from like super political to like historical to topical to the absolute absurd. I mean, it just runs that whole gamut very, very quickly. And a lot of anti-authoritarianism, like anti-fascist stuff. Like one of the funniest ones that I picked up was probably this little guy. When is it okay to
Oh,
punch a cop?
wow. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I know that's gonna get pretty that gets pretty saucy right off the bat. And
Hey, we
like
don't know what's in I
I
haven't
can't
read
even
that.
show you the whole thing. I have to Grawlix it, it's like, no, it's never okay to punch a cop. And then it's like, psych, forget that, essentially, and
Hug
then you
him.
open it
That's
up
what
and it
it
gives you
said.
all these tips about when it is okay to
Give him a
punch a cop.
give him a high five. You know, it's funny because
Yeah.
even speaking of social media, on Blue Sky, and it stuck out to me because I was like, "Wow, a zine." But somebody was like, you know, had posted about a link to a PDF you could download and print out. It was, it
Oh
was
yeah.
like a resist zine that they're like, print them out, leave them places, pass them around, whatever. Uh,
Oh yeah. Internet Archive is ripe for it. Like it's all
oh
over
yeah,
that. Like I've got one of these, and I actually printed out the new version of it on Internet Archive. It's like the one that's on Internet Archive is actually bigger than this. So the price of
oh,
zines is too darn high
nice.
is the name of this zine, and it's really just like about how zines are expensive. Don't pay for this one. And it's pretty great. And there's a bunch of pictures of cats.
Maybe they've never gone away. Do you think they're going back in the way that, like, wow, is pictures of cats?
Yeah, oh yeah, pictures of cats underneath all that.
Do you think they're
Uh,
like
I
increasing
don't know
in?
that I don't think they ever went away, because there's always
Mhm.
been like, like Tank Girl started as a zine, and
Right.
Milk and Cheese, I believe, was a zine.
Hmm.
Um, so I think they've always been around. It's kind of the underground comics culture and whatnot, but I think it has like ebbed and flowed, and now you find an awful, like I think what you find is that I think it's always been marginalized communities, like the punk rock movement. They
Yeah.
felt like they were very DIY and kind of marginalized, and they had fringe ideas, and now that's a ripe space for the LGBTQ community.
Right.
So you
Right.
see an awful lot of creators in that space there, that are getting those messages out, because what the traditional the traditional media isn't necessarily going to bolster their voices, because the fact remains, and this is why it's so ridiculous that certain political parties really want to hammer these issues. They don't impact the average person or voter. They don't
Right.
impact their lives. Like they
Right.
want to make DEI or trans or whatever the boogeyman, but in a person's day-to-day life, unless you are in those marginalized communities, it doesn't impact you. If you're in those marginalized communities, it impacts you every day of your life.
Right. No, I was actually reading something, not to get political. I was
Sure.
actually reading something earlier about how, like, yeah, I mean, it's a problem. It's not like hand waving away, like, oh, the problem. And
Oh,
it's a huge
right.
problem. It's just weird because it's like what 3% of the population is. It's like they're uh such a big deal is being thrown over like such a small percent of the population, but you've got to have another. And right now, it's all turning inward, a little
Right.
nationalism. So the others in here,
Right.
and that's who got picked. That's who got picked. Apparently, they seen it. Yeah, I don't know if it was the Budweiser thing or what, but they seen that tends to rile people. So let's
Hmm.
there's the boogeyman. That's the other inside. It's disgusting.
Yeah. And it's like, so they made giant tentpole platforms around bathrooms.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, you could be, I mean, like, let's just take one building, right?
right.
Like the courthouse for Douglas County or Dodge County or Sarpy County. How many times a day is this bathroom issue a huge issue?
Right, right,
Negligible. There's nobody reporting on, oh, you know what? Today there was a real problem in the Dodge County bathroom.
right, right.
There's not
Eh,
there's not news articles about this. This is not a real issue.
yeah. No, and you named it. It's not a real issue. It's a distraction. It's a tactic. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And this did go kind of hard political, but also like there are certain aspects of it that I'm like, it's not political. We're talking about the human rights, and I guess
Yeah.
that is
This
in
is
itself
their
kind
ability
of
to go to the bathroom, man.
right,
Like, I just gotta go to the bathroom. You only have two or one. And like if you only have one, it's a non-issue. It's a total non-issue. Most places only have
right,
one.
right.
It's a whatever bathroom, and that's it. And it only becomes an issue when you have more than one bathroom, oddly. Like the more luxuriant a place is, the more of an issue having bathrooms becomes. It's ridiculous.
And the whole we don't need to go down that route. We don't. I was just gonna say that
Right.
the harder somebody rails on, like, think of the children, it's not about the children. It's never about the
Yeah,
children.
usually not. If they're that young, you go into the bathroom with your
Right.
parents,
Right,
you
right.
know?
Um, and
So I could, it's really hard
zine.
to talk about zines without
Uh,
getting political because,
you're
like
right. It is kind of
half
like
of it
the
is
culture.
like free Palestine, like there was a lot of that at the table
Oh,
kind of deal, so yeah, heart, yeah, pirate anything today.
that's fun.
That's a fun little zine. But then again, I was talking about how it gets absurd. Probably the ones that I actually spent money on were the most absurd. Like I bought one that was Frog and Toad adulting, and it's just like the old Frog and Toad book illustrations, but with like like a modern ridiculous adult issues or whatever.
Nice.
Yeah, and I can't seem to find that one for whatever reason. Of course, that's the one, that's one of them that I spent money on, and it's not right here. And I bought a like a poetry one, and then I bought one more that's just called Bug Comics, and it's just an anthology of ridiculous bug cartoons.
Nice.
So yeah,
See,
yeah. I mean, like that's what I was going to spend my money on.
we're talking comics. We're talking the
Yeah,
same thing we always talking about.
that's right. Just a little riled up. That's all. And then, like speaking of other zines, we've been on the You Choose podcast. This is from a poet that I follow, Rob Sturma, and he put out the "You Are Doomed, Choose Your Own Demise" poetry zine, and
Awesome.
it's awesome. Like you read a little blurb of a poem, and then you get a choice, and then you head on to like a bigger blurb of a poem, and inevitably there's the end at the end of most of these. Like there's just boom, that page leads to this page, and then this page says you're dead. The end. Was it ants? It was ants.
That's awesome. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that was fun.
Um, I have been. So tonight we're going to talk about Creature Commandos. In case
Oh
you're
yeah.
wondering.
Oh yeah, that's kind of our main feature, if there is a main feature tonight.
But I don't really have anything to contribute because other than that, because I'm on my Moody Detective kick, and I found a couple of streaming services. I think I probably talked. I don't know if I talked about them on here, but that specialize in foreign shows and a lot of foreign crime shows. So I'm finally able to catch up on some of the like essential Nordic Nordic noir watching that I've never been able to find, because some of them are hard to find on English streaming services like the original The Killing and the Swedish original version of Wallander. So yeah, I've been watching a lot of that, and that doesn't make for good Grawlix talk. I've been binging those hard. One of the services is interesting. We talk about streaming services on here fairly often, uh, which reminds me, might have to give Netflix the cut here before long. The prices are going up like $2.50.
Yeah.
I have to give them a cut. Might have to say bye bye Netflix for a while. Megahertz Choice plus Topic, but Megahertz Choice, and they have a lot of the Nordic. There's Icelandic shows, Danish shows, Swedish shows, a lot of the moody detective stuff I like to watch. But they're super interesting service because I come across an article about them because I was like, what is megahertz? Because it's one of the weird ones where you'll come across it on like Amazon Prime. It's like, to watch this, subscribe to this service. And I was like, megahertz.
It hurts, but it's mega.
Apparently it's been around since the early 90s. And obviously not in the like current digital like internet streaming form, but it started as a station, a TV station. They'd broadcast to specific places, like embassies here in America, because the guy was like, apparently he knew a lot of diplomats from other countries, and he had the idea of like, they don't, they want to, if they come here to an embassy or come to whatever big hospital, like doctors from other countries, whatever, they want to watch shows that, they don't want to have to watch just shows in English or American shows. So the idea
Right.
was like broadcast foreign shows here for them, but with English subtitles. And that's how it
Right.
started. Like embassies or whoever would like, they'd pay and they'd install an antenna on their roof and they'd broadcast it specifically for those places. And I was like, that's really weird and fascinating.
And
That's
an
how that,
interesting way to repurpose a technology or a pre-existing platform.
right. And so in the modern age, since the 90s, it's evolved into, it's just a streaming service now. But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. So I've been watching that. It's pretty good. Yeah, and that's it. That's it for my moody detective talk.
All right. I mean, like, so I went on a tear over Christmas break, and so like we actually didn't stream a lot during Christmas break, but like some of the things that I watch, and we can talk about or not talk about any of them. Ghostbusters: The Frozen Empire. Have we talked about that?
I don't think so. I have not seen either of the last two ones, either of this new
Oh,
kind of
you
like
haven't seen. Oh, you didn't see
entry.
Afterlife either.
I didn't see Afterlife.
Oh, Afterlife was good.
Yeah.
This one was fine, but it was just too much. It was just
Oh,
like,
really?
okay, we've still got all the old Ghostbusters, and we got the new Ghostbusters and their whole family, and we're also gonna weave in a threat, and we're gonna include some new characters, some of which are living, some of which are not alive, and we're gonna shoehorn some new technologies in here, and they're gonna be plot relevant, but we're not gonna show them being used in any way that will be plot relevant.
That it sounds like it's hyper franchising. It's hyper
Yeah.
franchising the franchise. It's like that sounds like a lot.
I mean, like it had a lot going for it. There was a lot of cool stuff. Like one of the ideas is that Egon and Ray built the ghost containment unit. Back in the late 70s, early 80s, and it hasn't been updated or anything. It's just, and they've never even really explored what's the limitations of this, and so it's this idea of like updating the containment unit process and having more than one, in that kind of regard, like that kind of situation, and then also like this thing's gonna blow, just like it did in the first movie. Um, so that whole vibe, and then introducing a new threat that's got to be on the Gozer or Vigo level, and it's like, how do you do that? It's hard to do that, and make it compelling. And like they tried, but they just were doing so. They were just throwing so much at the wall that it was a little bit too much for the movie that they had.
Right. I mean, I'd always meant to get around to watching Afterlife, and sometime I will. I just haven't. I just haven't.
It also got like totally panned. Not Afterlife, Frozen Empire, like the second one,
Yeah. Right.
really bombed. I think, and it got critically panned. And it was like I watched it and was like, it's entertaining. It's fine. It's a
Mhm.
Ghostbusters movie, like
Right.
I love Ghostbusters. And honestly, I really like Ghostbusters too. But now as an adult, it's the whole Karate Kid 2 thing. It's like as a kid, Karate Kid 2 was awesome. As an
Right.
adult, the movie has some problems.
Yeah.
Same thing with Ghostbusters 2. It's just like mood slime, mood slime. I'm pretty sure I knew that was dumb even as a kid. But
That's funny. I've revisited Ghostbusters. I don't remember when, but I've revisited the first Ghostbusters as an adult. The second Ghostbusters, I always remember liking. I have not revisited it in many, many years. Um, but I hear online that like, oh, it's not good. It's not good. And I'm like, I remember really liking it as a
it's
kid.
dumb and fun. It is dumb and fun, but it is very dumb.
Right, right.
Yeah, there's a lot of dumb stuff in it. Yeah. And I feel like this is just keeping with tradition a little bit. There's a lot of
Mhm.
stuff in there that was just dumb. Like Slimer's just in their attic. And the one kid's like, I'm gonna catch him.
Just
Like, leave him alone. Like, I don't know.
he's been clearly he's been out wandering for a long time. Just leave him be.
Yeah. I mean, you probably don't want that much garbage in your attic because Slimer is not like he just eats. That's his whole
Right.
thing is he eats everything. So it's just like a massive amount of garbage. So that's not good. But like, do you really want to mess with him? If he's just sticking into the attic, then just leave him alone. I don't know.
Right, right.
'Cause you
Uh,
know how this is going to end. He's just going to slime you. Ask Venkman. He knows.
all right. Sorry, I was just looking behind under the hood real quick. Um,
Oh yeah.
it. I know I talked about it on the show, however long ago it was. I rewatched it, but Batman Returns did not hold up as well for me as an adult as when I
Yeah.
was a kid, and I don't think it's bad,
No.
and it's still
It's
got
just
some.
not as cohesive as the first one
The
was. Like the
story is a
code.
mess. Like
Yeah.
there's things that just
Oh yeah.
happen, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, Catwoman just happens. Batman standing there, and there's a penguin, and Catwoman happens to blow up a building across the street, and cartwheels over, and they have a little chat. And it's like, what? Why? Weird. Why? Why is this happening? I don't know. It's a
Yeah.
lot of little things like that where it's just like things just happen, and yeah, the first one, I think there's like cool stuff. Of course, it looks great. Catwoman's awesome. That version of the Penguin's awesome. Oh, that
Oh
reminds
yeah.
me of there was something else we've watched since we talked last. Uh, we finished the Penguin, the
Oh, you
the
finished
Max
it. Yeah.
series. Whew. It's good. It's good. But
Yeah.
I don't know if I said on the show, I think I might have something along the lines of like, I mean, he's a scoundrel. He's
Hmm.
he's just like you can't trust him. Nobody could trust him. The Penguin, that is.
Right.
But in some respects, he's kind of likable.
Sure.
They take that away by the end of the series. Like
By the end of
it's
it,
like,
he's
oh,
just full Breaking Bad by
he's
the end of it.
he's evil. He's just like there's nothing redeeming about him. But
Hmm.
it's handled so well and it's fascinating. I thought it was great. I thought it was really good. Um, if you're ever bored, want to kill some time, Jesse, I recommend it. It's worth a watch.
All right.
Yeah, but there's something like the first episode, something happens, and I'm like, I can't say anything without getting into spoilers.
Sure.
But I called it. I was like, that's not gonna last the season, and I called it. But it was good, super twisted. The Penguin's a super twisted character, but it was a pretty good show.
Well,
It's
that's an interesting Batman universe. Again,
yeah.
that like tying it back to what you were saying about the Tim Burton Batmans.
Mhm.
The first Batman sets a very specific tone, and the
Right.
second Batman feels like this is close to being in the same universe, but it already feels like it's not the same universe anymore.
It already feels, yeah.
Because yeah,
And part of it is like it's got the Christmas theme, so I think doing that, but it's a little glossier. It is
mhm.
different. The first one
It's
was
campier. It's
oh
a
yeah,
it is way campier. Yeah.
Batman murders maybe more people in it. He murders that one guy. I will, even as a kid, I was like, how's he gonna put the bomb on that guy and then just kick him into push him into the sewer and let it explode?
Right.
It's like Batman murdered that guy. Even as a kid, I was like, that seems wrong.
Right. Yes, it's a big cartoon bomb, but it's still a bomb.
Right. I mean, killing a guy cartoonishly is still kind of killing a guy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I mean, that's what the Joker does. And
yeah,
we know
right,
it's
right.
murder when he does it.
But I would say the tone of the show visually, it definitely carries the look over from the Batman,
Mhm.
and tonally similar, and it feels like the same world for sure.
Right.
But it's got a little bit different vibe, and a lot of that is the music. And especially the Batman had its very emo thing going on, and
Sure.
this one, I don't know. This one has some super cool music. They usually hold it till the credits, but it's one of those shows where it's like whoever's the music supervisor, man, they got interesting taste. Like it's a good variety of cool stuff that where at the end of the
Oh,
episode hits and you're like, yeah, cool. This is a cool show. One
okay.
of those
Okay.
kind of like
Yeah.
Creature Commandos, where the music's
Yes.
just like,
Yeah.
yeah, all right, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
Or it's weird. Why is that? And then you go, oh,
right, right,
yeah. Like it's clever. I mean, that's James Gunn. He's real good at throwing a clever track in, like
right.
Guardians of the Galaxy when they fly in onto that like pseudo perfect Earth and we get Faith No More, We Care a Lot kicks in. It was like, oh man, that's the perfect song for this.
Right, right, right.
That kind of deal.
Uh, well, yeah, might as well transition. So, uh, maybe Melanie will have thoughts next time she's on the show about it. But Melanie and I, we binged through the last 4 episodes. They're short episodes of
Mhm.
Creature Commandos.
Yeah.
But you had finished it. We had watched a few episodes, and I just kept forgetting about it. But yeah, so we watched the Weasel episode where you get the Weasel
Mhm.
backstory. You get backstory in all of them, so I'm trying to remember the backstories. Weasel
Sure.
backstory,
Dr. Phosphorus.
Dr. Phosphorus. I think you get a more Frankenstein backstory a little bit
Yep.
where
You get
he's
more
with that.
from his point of view, like
Yes,
after the inciting events, like
right.
what happened to him.
Right, because his original backstory ties into the bride's backstory, but then you
Mhm.
get a little bit more after that with him. And then is it Mina or Nina, the fish girl?
Nina or Nora, something like that.
I need to look it up. And let's see. Come on. I put fish. You know what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Nina.
Should. I mean, yeah.
Nina, yeah. Then we kind of get her backstory in the last one. One thing that really struck me watching through these is, first off, there's the episode, and it's where we get the backstory of Dr. Phosphorus. The episode starts, and it fades in on what is clearly Gotham City, but it also the music hits some of the Batman animated series
A little bit, yeah.
motifs, And I knew right
Yeah.
away. I was like, "Oh, we in Gotham." I heard it. Like I was
Uh-huh.
not even paying attention like when it started, and I heard it. And I was like, "Oh, Gotham." Um,
Yeah.
but that got me thinking, especially at some point in these episodes, Clayface turns up, and I'm like, the
Right.
Creature Commandos characters are so like kind of fringe and outside of my purview of DC Comics that it seems like when a more recognizable DC Comics character pops up, it's almost like takes me out of it.
A
It's like,
little jarring, yeah. It's like,
oh
"Oh,
yeah,
this is the same universe. Oh, I forgot." Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah.
Or like, I wasn't expecting to see Superman crucified today. Cool. All right. That's all right. James
Right,
Gunn.
yeah.
James Gunn's got it. DC gun control.
Yeah.
Gun reform.
Right.
Whatever. Um, but I liked it. It's such a good show. He's so
Mhm.
manipulative, James Gunn. Like he knows what he's doing. I was so
Mhm.
worried for Weasel this whole time because I had seen
Oh, I
people
know.
talking about Weasel and I'd seen like hashtag justice for Weasel. And I was like, oh no, what's going to
Yeah.
happen to Weasel? And his backstory
Yeah.
is really sad, but spoilers, he made it through the season. So I was happy about that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And
Um,
not everybody does.
no.
No.
And he manages to, except for Frankenstein, like give everybody, the main characters, some sense of like humanity. So you
Right.
get some attachment to most of them. Um, like Dr. Phosphorus, his whole thing was horrific.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like they lean towards making him so evil. You're like, is he gonna kill that little girl? Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, right.
to where when he doesn't, you're just like, all right, they didn't go
Thank
totally
goodness, yeah.
totally evil with him. Uh, but David Harbour was such a good pick for for
So
Frankenstein.
perfect for it, man. He would deliver, like, the absolute, like, obtuse lines where it's just like, "Man, you just totally missed the point on that. You didn't see it at all." But, like, in just a brilliant way. In a way, a way we've grown to, appreciate and love from him.
And the episode titles played so well. Like some of them were like, okay, but the one where it talks about him and with the woman in the cabin is called
Oh
the
god,
Iron Pot, and you don't get what that means until the end, where he takes her out with the iron pot, and it's just like really brutal. I was
yeah.
like, oh,
Oh,
so
man, what did he say? "I would never let anyone."
I would never leave you alone, or whatever. I would never let
Right,
you
that's
be
what it was. "I
alone.
would never leave you alone."
Yeah,
That's not a kindness, man. Oh, man.
yeah. It's so funny. Like interesting. I don't know. It's like the Penguin in that respect, where and it's the thing I've been harping on since the beginning of doing Grawlix. Like I love when they take ridiculous characters, and James Gunn is kind of the king of this, where they take characters that are
Oh,
often
yeah.
handled ridiculous and like give them a depth and an emotional weight and treat them in kind of a serious manner, even in something as at times ridiculous as Creature Commandos. Um,
Mhm.
like for a comedy, there's a lot of emotional heft and drama
Oh,
infused into like every episode.
yeah. Well, yeah, he made Polka Dot Man super
Right.
kinda tragic,
Right.
Uh, he even going back to his Marvel work with Rocket Raccoon, he made Rocket Raccoon the gut punch of a character, is the most tragic character. Dude looks like a raccoon, I mean,
Right.
he's foul-mouthed, he's kinda just the comedic foil, at least in the first one, and maybe even in the second one, but, like, by the third one, man, he's all about tearing your heart out.
James Gunn sees a furry character and he's like, half my job's already done. I know where to take this one.
Yeah, just we'll just show him as a child.
Right. Right. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I liked it a lot. I don't know why I drug my feet on it so long, but uh, it's really good. It's really
I
good.
think I mentioned the last time that really my only issue with it was the same issue everyone had with it, which is like they really could have added another episode in there or just stretched out the ending a little longer because
Mm.
when we finally get to Nina's episode, it's just like, man,
Right.
did that character dirty, and then like you can kind of see it coming, and you kind of had your doubts about the main antagonist the whole time, and then you come, and then it's just like, oh yeah, yeah, it was right. You were right the whole time.
Melanie called that from the beginning. She called that from the
Right.
first episode.
Yeah.
But I think after the GI robot episode, every episode where they started getting a backstory, Weasel, and then her, I started getting worried. But ironically enough, the season ends and like, oh, GI robot's back. He just looks like
Oh yeah.
Iron Giant now.
Right. Right. Well, and that one kind of made sense because it's like, yeah, he's an AI. Just
Right, yeah.
as long as you can retain his memory, he just gets a new body, and that's exactly what happened.
I I don't understand why Nina was there at all. Like, I get whatever, she was a creature, and
Mm-hmm.
she essentially had no rights, so Amanda Waller could do whatever. But like, she's not a soldier or a warrior of any
No.
sort. She
Nope.
clearly wasn't. It didn't make
Right.
sense to have her on that team. But
And then the one thing she's good at is what gets her,
right,
I mean,
right,
I don't know, spoilers, it's not good for her. Like there's a lot of creatures that aren't going to make it to a season 2.
uh,
It
yeah.
had a very Suicide Squad vibe, so
Hmm.
like that's good. But it's interesting because James Gunn has come on and gone on the record as saying that this is the first actual canon show.
Oh,
Even so far as to say that Suicide Squad and Peacemaker are like unreliable narration.
that's
Like
interesting because
there's
there's so much kind of
yeah.
carryover. I even noticed, if I might be mistaken, but the guy working with Amanda Waller with the injured leg, who said he
Mhm.
like, "Oh, how'd you hurt your leg?" He said like, whatever, stopping an alien invasion or whatever. And I was like, oh, so he's that guy
Right.
from Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. And there is carryover, and it's almost canon, but like the way
right,
that Peacemaker season 1 ends is obviously not canon anymore.
right,
Um and so that's his that's his way around it, is to say that Peacemaker's not a reliable narrator. So it's kind of like
sure.
he's
This is clever.
dreaming a little bit, and it's like some of it is his delusions. So and
Yeah,
same thing with the Suicide Squad. Um, Same deal where it's like, okay, the stuff happened, but probably not exactly the way that it was reported via this movie.
as much as I'll complain about canon things with like Doctor Who or something, I think he's just treating it fluid, but he's got it
Mhm.
like that. The unreliable narrator thing is a clever way of like trying to dealing with people that really get stuck on canon things. And like, if
Yeah.
you any post he makes or whatever, and I do appreciate how like active he is online. Um,
Mhm.
but if you read through, or any DC, modern DC universe stuff that's posted, like read through the comments, and there's still a ton of
There's
people who
always
are
a
just,
pedant. There's always somebody in
yeah,
there that's just got to be like, well, actually, and this, he would
right,
never do that because, yeah.
right. Uh, the Superman trailer, for as much as
Oh,
people really
yeah.
liked it. Oh, and there's the recent teaser that people really latched onto a certain thing. But there's so much like Henry Cavill. Well, if it's not Henry Cavill, and it's like, well, Henry Cavill wasn't freaking Christopher Reeve either. Like,
Right.
I mean, I know Brandon Ralph was in there, but as well. But what was it?
Right. Right.
uh, so whatever. I like it. Whatever. We're James Gunn fans. We're fans before he.
It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna watch
Yep.
it. I mean, like, even if I don't love everything about it. Same thing with Man of Steel. Like, I also didn't hate everything about Man of Steel as much crap as I sling at that movie. You know, I didn't hate everything about it. It was a good movie overall. I just had a lot of issues with it.
I don't know how somebody like James Gunn can deal with interacting with the online community as much as he does. He's got to ignore like 100 messages or comments a day before
Oh.
he finds one to reply to. But he does reply to people.
Mhm.
But the Superman teaser, where it's pretty much just shots we've seen from the trailer, and then the one shot, the flying shot, where his eyes might look like they look not totally straight. And it's like, okay, I kind of see what people are talking about, but like every comment got to latch onto it. There's got to be articles written
Right.
about it, and the articles are always like something looks off with his face, and they wouldn't say it
Right.
specifically.
Well, maybe we're cutting together trailers before total post-production is done.
Right.
Remember the original trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog?
Yeah, I think that's true. That's true. I hadn't thought about that. If they'd cut that together before all the post production was done, less work to replace Sonic in every shot. uh,
Yeah, right.
but he had said, because he replied to that, or he commented on that. As people are like, the CG looks weird, and his face looks weird, and he's like, it's not CG, it's live action plates. And I think part of it is distortion. From he mentioned like wide angle lens up close. It distorts your everybody's face looks a little bit different when you've got a wide angle lens right up in your grill. Also, some people's eyes do that a little bit. Maybe the dude was tired, strapped to a harness, floating in front of a green screen for like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Maybe his eyes wandered a little bit, but yeah, whatever. Looked
And
pretty
maybe that's
cool.
what happens when you exert that much with your heat vision.
I
You
was
never
actually
know.
I was impressed to hear it wasn't a completely CG shot. It's like live action plates, live action him, probably some CG touch ups, and also like really good compositing. But uh, yeah, I would just stay off the internet.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, like, but he's one of the few people who has been canceled because of the internet and come back to Disney.
right.
You know, it's
And then
like James Gunn and Deadpool are somehow Teflon because what was it? There's literally 3 rules that Deadpool immediately broke. Like in a Disney movie, you can't have smoking, you can't have decapitation, and you can't have like impalement or something.
oh
And he did
right
all of those things immediately.
right. Uh, interesting. Yeah.
And Henry Cavill's the one smoking the cigar,
I,
interestingly enough.
I am surprised because Disney they know where the money's at with Deadpool.
Hmm.
I'm still surprised they let him go as hard as they did with Deadpool
Right.
Wolverine. But they know where the money's at. Even the opening sequence with him like
Yeah.
groping bones while he's just things things that are
Right.
pretty like, oh, okay.
They knew they were going to make some money.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
at the end of the day what's up. I mean, you don't make a Deadpool movie and not do it,
Right.
go all the way with it, because that's the way that character has been since the first movie.
Right. Um that reminds me, I'm excited for some Daredevil. I think we already talked about it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm
That
excited for
trailer
it.
looks great.
Um I think that's all
I'm
I
kind of
got.
curious, like, how does and maybe we already talked about this, but I'm curious where the She-Hulk Daredevil ties into this. Because
Well,
he's clearly not been a vigilante for a while in this.
right,
So
which is a little counter. Well, maybe She-Hulk chronologically something unreliable narrator because
oh,
I mean,
yeah.
and if you're gonna do it with one of those, She-Hulk's the one to do it with. The end of the season, she's crawling through the Disney Plus menus, so like,
Right, yeah. He's like,
canon's a
"What's
little
even
looser
real
with that
now?"
show.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
true. It doesn't have to tie into Born Again at all. in a lot of ways.
Right.
And maybe this is like, and maybe, yeah, maybe She-Hulk's set way after Born
Yeah.
Again. Like maybe he gets his, maybe that's how Matty Murdock gets his groove back.
You're right. You're right.
There's a little yellow on the helmet.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I do want to. It's so many shows. I do want to revisit some of the Netflix stuff. I think Daredevil, I could stand to sit through all the seasons again.
It's only 3 seasons, and so I'm not sure why I'm so hesitant to go back.
Right.
Because it seems like it would be work. There's a part of me that feels like it would be work, but it wouldn't be work because I enjoyed all 3 seasons for different reasons.
Yeah, I don't know how the replay value. I mean, the fight scenes would be worth watching it, but you got at least
It's
one awesome oneer in each season. So
yeah. Was season 1 was like perfection. Season 2, you get Frank Castle at the very least. I mean, you get that and a lot of weird like Elektra hand ninja stuff. But
yeah, I wasn't crazy about that aspect, and that's a pretty big plot point.
at
And I
least for
remember,
season 2 or whatever's
Mhm.
going on there. And then 3 was interesting and fun on in its own right.
Yeah, I like 3. I don't want to sit through Karen's tragic backstory again, though. That
Oh
went they
yeah.
went hard on it, and I was like,
Right.
you didn't have to go that hard. We didn't have to see the brothers uh, pavement grinded off head. Like, come on,
Yeah.
man. Like, they went too hard,
Well,
too hard for me.
that's the thing is like, man, are they going to go how dark are they going to go with Karen in this?
Right.
I know how Born Again worked. Actual Born Again,
Hmm.
the Frank Miller,
I liked her character a lot, though. I'm super glad. Like, Foggy's good. I like Foggy.
Mhm.
He's just kind of fun, but
Yeah.
Karen had like pretty heavy arc, and I
Oh
really
yeah.
liked
Oh
what
yeah.
they did with her character. Anyway,
Yeah, she was never just Matt's arm candy.
right, right. Ah, arguably, she had a lot of stuff going on that like didn't really factor in much to Daredevil for the most part. Like she had her own thing
Right.
going on that she was dealing with most of the time, and there's a big part of that where I'm like, you should just talk to Daredevil. Like, he can help
Right, yeah.
you.
For real,
Uh,
yeah. Just let them know.
right. Some of the Luke Cage stuff would be good to revisit. I really like that show. I like the vibe of it.
Yeah.
Super bummed that it like kind of ended on kind of a cliffhanger or like setting up
Mhm.
something where it's like, I want to see his
It'd be
villain arc.
so good to see him. Yeah, it'd be good to get that arc, and then
Hmm.
also like tying in from what we're gonna get with Mayor Wilson Fisk into like how do we get Mayor Luke Cage? Because that happens.
I don't know how much Punisher definitely showed up in the trailer.
Hmm.
Uh, I can't remember any of the actors' names, but Luke Cage and what's her name? Jessica Jones actors.
Oh yeah, Kristen Ritter or
Yeah, yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. Yeah,
They
yeah.
were they were working together on something not long ago, and they posted pictures
Hmm.
on Instagram. So they're somewhere, I'm sure.
Right.
Um, just a cameo, maybe. Who knows? But I liked Jessica Jones a lot as well. I would rewatch maybe the first season because of Tennant's villain is so
Oh,
good.
so good.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't know about the other seasons. They were okay, but I don't
Right.
know. They didn't have the guy save my boys, my boys.
Yeah, oh man, yeah. Well, yeah, they made Hellcat interesting too.
Right, right. Uh, randomly reminiscing about the Netflix Marvel series.
Hey, you
I'm
can't
fun.
talk about the new Daredevil without talking about the old. And
You're
he had
right.
his own universe, man. He had his street level universe.
Penguin has that feel. I mean, it's a different vibe.
Mhm.
It's a very, the Batman Gotham City look,
Yeah.
but it's street level gangster stuff.
Sure, it's like where the Penguin was in the first movie, or in
Right,
the movie. I guess it's only
right.
one movie, so but yeah.
And I mean, there's especially once they put like you get backstory of who is it? Was it Sophia Falcone in the asylum? And some of the asylum stuff is pretty like kind of cliche and over the top,
Mhm.
but all the other stuff is like also a little cliche gangster stuff, but it's grounded more or less. So um it kind of had that vibe that the Marvel Netflix series had where for the most part there's not like supernatural stuff going on. For the most part they dabbled. Netflix Marvel stuff dabbled, but it was mostly like street level crime, and
Right.
that's interesting.
What was fun about it is, like, anytime they dabbled, they made it sound ridiculous. The Kunlun stuff, where it's like, "Wait,
Right.
what? No, he fought a dragon, the heart of a dragon." So, like, yeah, sure you did.
What a miss.
Mystical city of Kunlun.
Why did that miss so hard? Was it the actor? I know we talked about it when
Some of it was how they just didn't pay enough attention to the fight choreography in that first season. Second
right.
season was way better, but it was just like some in the early episodes in particular. And it's like that is not where you want to miss. If you're going to miss on some of your action, it shouldn't be in the first couple episodes. You
Right.
know,
Of
if you can get halfway through the season and there's a flub, that'll be more forgivable. But if the first time we see him throw down, it looks dumb and cartoony,
yeah.
you're done.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and of all the series, the one that definitely should be nailing the martial arts aspect. And I do remember, like, his character was just kind of ridiculous. He was just kind of a,
Yeah,
the shoeless type, like, uh, he didn't have a man bun, but he just had this weird way about him.
yeah.
Uh,
He was like a rich dude that was still clueless, even though he's been forced into like,
yeah,
an ascetic lifestyle.
it was one of those shows where the writing wasn't totally terrible because for the most part, every other character was interesting except the main character. That was the big problem, I think.
Well,
Like,
and because they tied in characters that we knew from Daredevil and
yeah,
made them more interesting.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, um, got anything exciting coming up? Anything interesting you want?
Like the most interesting thing I've been doing lately is like I wrote some poetry and then I did some illustration for the poem. I think I sent that to you. I don't really have like
You
a
did,
copy of it
yeah.
around here, but yeah, I made like a drawing of some crutches and stuff. Oh, I guess in that same vein, I got a poem acceptance letter. So I'm going to have
Nice.
a poem published, which is nice because I haven't really done that. I was like looking at it. I was like, oh, I'm up. If I don't get on this, it's going to be 20 years since my last poem was published by someone other than myself. So
Right, right.
I was like, well, I got a little time to get it in before 20 years has passed. So I'm going to try and do that. And I was happy to see that the one that I did got published because I was like, oh no, they could have passed on it just because it's like thematically not quite right, but it's like one of my stronger poetic pieces. So if I had gotten a rejection letter for that one, I would have taken it pretty hard because it's like, no, I don't got much better than that.
I'm never writing another poem again.
That's right. That's it. You ruined it.
Thrown in the towel.
Yeah. No. I mean, I would have submitted to someone else, but it
Right,
would have been
right.
rough to get a like for that one to get an rejection right off the bat, which I know is what usually happens. But it's like that one's good. That's all I got.
Just double check to make sure we didn't have messages that I was missing.
Oh yeah.
We didn't.
No.
Uh, they're all they must all be busy. Doing
There's
things.
nothing else going on in the world, especially this week. So,
Right. Right.
not to get political again.
We didn't even talk about Elon.
He is actually like the least of my worries this week.
Right. Right. Okay. Yes. I won't say anything about any of that stuff. What do I got going
that's
on?
not a rabbit hole we should crawl
Right.
down.
Right.
Yeah, what's going on in Ibis?
The usual.
Abyss.
The usual. Abyssal. Tomorrow night, Friday night, as with all Friday nights at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, I will be doing my Edge of the Abyss thing. Be playing some extreme metal, some death metal, black metal, thrash metal, doom metal, all the metals. I'll be playing it live on Helix Rock Radio. That's
You almost said DMC
rockradio.live.
radio, didn't you?
I did. That was what
That's how tired you are. You almost said EMC radio.
Right. That's what popped in my head. Yeah, just doing the usual thing. I haven't even looked at new releases coming out tomorrow. Last week's show I started with a pretty spicy track. Starts with a pretty strong message, but I didn't like keep to a specific, maybe political, maybe not political message. I was thinking about doing that on a show coming up here soon. Just really
come in and test your metal.
Yeah, right. But I'll be playing a lot of new releases, which is, again, it's coming up on a couple months shy of doing this for a year. I'm still amazed at like how much music comes out every week, because there's so like just in metal, a very like in the most extreme niches of metal. There's so much music that where I'm not playing like a track off everything released. There's just so much released, and it's good. Like if I don't like it, I don't play it typically. Yeah, I'm just amazed at how much comes out every week. So anybody who says like there's no good new music, like you're not trying to find it.
Not trying at all.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talent out there, and there's more ways to get your stuff out there than ever. So the hardest part is finding it.
I even have I have a couple places, like there's a couple websites, a couple different sources I'll look at to see because I don't know if there's like a good I don't necessarily have like a good list of a calendar of like here's what's all coming out, but there's a couple websites that publish stuff, and I'll comb through that, and I'll find this other source, and I'll comb through that, and then I've listened through. I spend like a good chunk of my Friday putting together the playlist. So I've listened through a ton of stuff, and I'm like, that's got to be everything released. And then I'll find some other thing, people talking about other albums, and be like, are you kidding me? Okay. And I'll listen to that and be like, this is as good, if not better than all the other stuff that's like, I don't know, like there's so much stuff that flies under the radar. But I guess that's just music in the modern age, of course.
Sure.
Apparently there's 10,000 AI produced songs that hit the streaming service every day. So that's insane.
Is there really? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I think every day, maybe every week, but I think every day. Obviously I'm not, there was a band that tricked people in the doom metal scene where it was a social experiment, but they got quite a bit of traction before finally letting the cat out of the bag, and people were real upset. And I was like, have I played them? And I looked back and I was like, oh yeah, no, I played them. So yeah, that's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Right. Are you mad that they got away with it, or are you mad that they fooled you? Like what? What are you mad about?
Yep.
Because if it was good, it was good. Even if there was a robot involved, somebody was behind the prompts.
That's kind of that's kind of thing. And I get people being upset about it, although people are extremists in their own way when it comes to AI, anything.
Big time.
Yeah. But it had gotten reviewed, their albums have gotten reviewed on fairly large in the scene websites. So it's
Oh,
like it's snuck past a lot of people. Like a lot of people like
yeah.
didn't know until the creators themselves were like released a paper like, here's our experiment, here's what happened. And a lot of people in the scene were like, hey, F you guys. So I kind of
Yeah,
get it. Like
you're over now.
if you wanted to release that, kind of be somewhat upfront about what you're doing. But
Mhm.
also though, like if the music's good, it's
Yeah.
interesting because and it'll change because the models and the whatever will get better. But I put together your Christmas
Yes.
present
Yeah, yeah.
of it's and so I generated using one of the popular AI music services a ton of AI music and listened through it. I made an album for Jesse that was a present for him uh,
Yeah.
for fun. I haven't
Yeah.
released any of it, but having done that, I have since heard other songs, usually in YouTube videos or something, where I'm like, they use Suno. They generated that in Suno.
Oh,
And the
sure.
giveaway was just some of the melodies and stuff like it and the structuring of the songs. I found like if you listen to it enough of the AI songs, you're like, they fall into certain uh I guess like a human
Patterns,
writer does, but they fall into
probably.
certain
Yeah.
patterns. It's just the way they always like the choruses sound a certain way. And
Mhm.
like, yeah, after a while you can
Oh,
kind of
sure.
recognize it.
The hip hop flows probably
Yeah.
you could only go so far before a hip hop flow would sound very samey.
Right,
The
right.
cadence probably.
There's some bangers on that album.
There is. Oh yeah, there absolutely is. I was like, "Whoa, man, I didn't expect to like this one."
Right, right. I mean,
Or there'd be just like a clever turn of a phrase where it's like, "Well, that was good. That was real good."
the lyrics of the whole thing,
Mhm.
uh, I would massage them in places if need be, but I didn't do much. And for the most part, the lyrics were Chat GPT, and so
Yeah.
like they had the habit of like they really love uh, wild and free and things like that. They love that kind
Uh-huh.
of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But once in a while, they'll spit something out where I'm like, "Whoa, burn!" Like
Yeah. That
that
was a
was
good one.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Uh, anyway, uh, we don't have to fall down the AI rabbit hole.
Oh,
That
there's plenty more I could say about it, but yeah, we probably shouldn't.
should wrap it up.
It would be
Um,
amazing if we didn't.
you're right. Well, you know what's amazing? I don't know. I don't know. Um,
I
all
think it's
right,
amazing. We made it through at least an hour here, you know.
right. Yeah, I don't know how long it's been, but we made a ways. Oh, it's been an hour and seven,
Oh, an hour and 15. Yeah.
hour
Almost.
and 15.
Almost 15. Yeah. By the time we get off of here, it'll be an hour and 15 easy. So
Wow.
you're welcome, internet. You're welcome, YouTube, and
I know
all of
you
our
were
audience members,
I know you
all
were
those people
clamoring
watching us.
to hear us ramble about the
Creature
non-political
Commandos,
things and
even
creature
though it's been
commandos.
over for at least a week or two. Yeah.
It's been over for a while.
Late to the party as usual. We're fine. It's fine.
We're still talking about Netflix Marvel series years after the
Oh man, we
fact.
will not ever let it go, guys. We're never gonna let that go.
Nope.
Nope.
Uh, that Iron Fist guy.
Man, if you oh man, can you imagine that? Can you imagine that show? What is that show? That first episode? Come on. That guy. You can't believe him. He's not a real kung fu guy. Come on. Clearly.
Uh, I
Jeez. Who is this guy? They really should cast an Asian guy for sure.
yep, dude. I was just reminiscing about like the collective internet saltiness about that
Oh
show.
man. Yeah.
It's one of those. It's one of those
Yep.
where everyone comes together.
Yep. Oh man. Oh, the left. Oh, the purity test there.
Oh, no.
They were like, "Oh no, you had a chance to undo something bad and you didn't." Wow, welcome to the internet.
On that note, Thursdays get bent, and we're never
They should
political, and
no,
we don't know
we
gets
don't.
about nothing,
No,
but we will get
especially
salty
Wu
about
Tang.
all of it, especially Wu
Oh,
Tang.
So salty.
I don't even know why we bring them up. We shouldn't even that
Negative.
review. We latch on to the negative reviews and we will harp on that for
There's
years.
the only we don't have that many negative reviews. We don't
No.
have that many reviews, period.
Right.
But we have almost no negative reviews. But when we get one, oh boy, does it's if you want to be a running gag on this show, just say something mean.
Just say something mean and we will latch on to it. Dude, gets us. We've been doing the show for like 10 years, going on 11 years. Is this supposed to be our birthday anniversary, by the way? Who
Pretty
knows?
close, yeah.
Pretty
right.
close.
Because your birthday's coming up and then your anniversary and it's
Right.
March is when it's my birthday and your anniversary.
Right. So it'll be in a month. We'll be at 11 years. The Gets thing had to be 7 years ago or something like that. And we will
easily.
We will never let it go.
I don't even remember what the true complaint was other than that we clearly don't watch enough Ghost in the Shell or
that was it. We don't know Gets about we don't know Gets about Ghost in the Shell anime.
Right.
Also Wu-Tang Clan. That's a more recent one, but it's still kind of old at this point. We shouldn't even bring it up if we don't know what we're talking about.
I didn't even say anything factually untrue. I just let it be known that Redman is adjacent to Wu-Tang Clan. Like
you did it. You did it
he's
again.
Like a friend. He's a super friend. I did it again. I'm doubling down.
Just know this.
Because Wu-Tang ain't nothing to with.
Just know this. If you leave a negative review, I won't do anything with it. But I will find you on all your other social media accounts. I will track you down just to look and see what's there. But I can easily find you online. This is not a threat. I'm not going to find you in the real life. But I do. I'm not
going to dox you or anything.
The Wu-Tang guy I found. The Wu-Tang guy I found. I found his Twitter account. And I was just looking at it. That's all.
Oh, yeah.
This is how we choose.
Sometimes it's fun to give context to a thing and be like,
right.
Oh.
Well, that's it. Like, is this person just a troll, or is this in line with their stuff, or are they even somebody who would normally watch our stuff? I don't even remember where I fell on that guy, but he was a guy. He was a hip hop fan, so that makes sense. But
he had strong opinions, and we
had strong opinions. They might not have been totally correct opinions, but whatever.
Right. He heard something that wasn't said, too.
Right.
He got mad real fast, considering what was going on there.
Right. Like a really
took
a throwaway,
it straight to Apple Podcast.
A throwaway conversation, a throwaway line. It was like a minute of the show, and nope, that's worth a bad rating on Apple Podcasts. The whole show's trash.
Right.
All right, we really need to stop. Thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah, that's how you know we're tired. Yeah.
Thanks for listening. Grawlixpodcast.com. There's still a website. Go there. Go. It's been long enough. Grawlix. GRAWLIX podcast.com. Bye. Yeah, it's right there.